I, blessed, grand rising, blessed evening, or peaceful slumber, depending on what time you see this. Um, this one is a little more sacred to me, so I'm gonna try to watch my everything, but it may happen. And as usual, um, you'll see me look down time to time, but after a while, I couldn't even write because that's how much I felt this segment with this one. And this one is why boys need their mothers. It's not bad. It's that important. Before I start, just because I think a mother is a boy's first love, like a daughter's first love is a father. So we have to be careful with a lot of things and understanding things. So I'm going to try to start and see what happens and see how this goes. If I fall off, forgive me. But I promise you, if you stick with me, we'll get somewhere together. I just couldn't. I was crying and boo-hooing throughout writing this one, kind of staying structured. And after a while, I just couldn't. I just was like, something in my spirit was like, stop. This hit record. You have to sometimes just let your spirit take over. And I do that. I trust in God that my truth will be it. And that's why half the time you'll see me just rant after a moment. And I guess this one eventually will be that. And hopefully I'll find a structure to it. Forgive me, y'all, if I seem off. But I'm good. I'm solid. Why boys need their mothers. If he don't love his mama, watch how he moves. I'll say that again. Why boys need their mothers. And if he don't love his mother, watch how that boy moves or that man moves. Before the world even has a chance to shape a boy, it's his mother who sets the tone. Her love is the first mirror he looks into. If she is warm, he learns to trust. If she is distant, he learns to question. And if she is broken, he learns to protect himself. If he don't love his mother, watch how he moves. That don't always mean that the boy is evil or that he is wrong. But maybe his wounds he hasn't healed from yet. And if not this, and if he doesn't learn to heal from his wounds, this will leak onto everything that the boy or the man does throughout life. The mother is his first love. The lady, when he is young, if he falls, she learns to coddle, or he runs to for safety, for nurturing. As to holding, doing with this, he unknowingly learns to let his guard down, build his guard up, or without, period, not knowing when to do whichever. Leads to confusion. My mother wasn't the perfect mother. She was a trying mother. And this video is not about bashing nobody. This video is about clarification, and it's about man's mental health. So we have to have honest talks here. And with honest talk, sometimes it can be a little painful. The thing about having to talk about my father is I've had this talk with my father. The thing is, my mother lived a very strong life. And I mean that my mother went through hell and back like my father. But the thing with my mother going through with hell and back for her view, her main character of her life is she has to protect herself to move forward for the day to day. And I have to understand that with love. And I try to. But I can't talk about mothers without trying. I can't talk about mothers without talking about mine. And again, my mother was a trying mother. I wouldn't be here today without my mother and my father. So I fault neither one of them. I give them the utmost honor, the utmost respect. You honor thy father and thy mother. So it is written, it's to be obeyed. So certain things I do believe in the Bible that is true and that is the best thing. You honor thy parents. I mean, each one of us, or 9 times out of 10, unless, you know what I'm saying, we did something scientifically, you know what I'm saying, and even then, one way or another, it was typically structured with a person and a person, something happened, you know what I mean, whether it was chemically, and then it was put in a tube or something, in some sort of way, we're here because a man and a woman, you know what I'm saying, typically, and that's not throwing no shade. And again, I wouldn't be here without my mother and my father. But if I'm being honest, I don't have the clearest of memories of my mother before I was 9. It was like glimpses of memories of my mother before I was 9. And for what I heard from both my parents and then kind of surrounding parties, I wasn't like born and my father had me. It was, I was born, my mother had me, but I'm not conscious. And then something happened with my mother. And then my father had me. So in my first conscious being, my father had me at a certain time until I was 9. And then my mother again. So I just need to say that for clarification. But back to what I'm saying. I don't have the strongest of memories of my mother before I was 9. Until then, with just little glimpses, but it wasn't like a solid presence, I would say, like sound. You know what I mean? She didn't live in the city of where I'm from and where we stayed at. I remember where she lived, because it was like a loud name in a quiet room. So like I remember hearing where she was living at the time, like boom, 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 boom. So I would remember, if I'm looking back, I would remember certain things like this hearing of my mom and where she lived. And I didn't understand how far a distance was a distance. But now I understand it was a nice distance. Same city, but a nice distance. So I remember I wouldn't see her day to day, but here and there. By the time I would start seeing her in these glimpses of my memories, she had a new, I won't say she had a new life, but she was living life. And by that time, she had another guy, you know what I'm saying? And she had another child, which is my brother. And this other guy, which is my brother's father, was first and foremost, utmost standing man, top tier, everything. I mean, if you say a father or a stepdad, 10 out of 10. Everything. Every role that this man did, he did. And you could not tell the difference on how he treated my brother, which was his biological, to me. You know what I'm saying? So this man was the shit. Did his thing when he did his thing. So, but this is about mothers to sons and sons to mothers. So I don't want to get off topic, but I want to give that man that respect. This man has passed on, and I did call him father at the time, you know what I mean? But this for the provision of getting y'all to understand what I'm saying. When I'm speaking on her in this segment, typically I'm speaking on maybe my stepfather if this was a thing that happens to come up. But this man was great, phenomenal, trying man, everything. No disrespect to this man. Would never disrespect this man. Called this man father, dad, everything. Was a trying man. Utmost respect and love. One love to this brother. To this man. Seriously. But before I understood everything, I understood that when I would go see my mother before I was 9, I would go see my brother who I fully didn't understand everything. And when I would go see, they had this nice place where what I described as nice, from my understanding then, where he had name brand clothes, name brand toys, name brand bed sheets, what we thought was the latest TV. So what we established as surviving was what I was coming from with my father, because he, for what I understood, wasn't healthy co-parenting, but figuring it out. My father was more so a single father day to day, and my mother was trying. But again, she's not in the city. She's trying her best. He's trying his best. But for a child who's not conscious, he just sees his father at this time before 9. He sees a mother in glimpses, and then he sees that he has a brother. And I have one brother, again, just for the video, so I understood. All my siblings, my 4 siblings, I don't believe in half siblings. And F you if you live by that. You need to get something good in your spirit. So, for that provision, you know what I'm saying? Like, we would go see my brother with my mother, and he had all the great things of what I thought was something I didn't understand. And I'm like, he living like this. Why don't I live like this? Why ain't we living like this? My father trying to figure it out to the best of his abilities. I quite didn't understand struggle, but I knew certain things wasn't quite clicking, because things were happening, and I'll just be like, this should just work, and it wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? But he was trying his best. So no taking from my father, no taking from my mother. But with that being said, that's how I kind of see my mother in my adolescence, you know what I'm saying, until about 9. By the time I hit around 9, again, if you've seen a couple videos, you understood, my father started going through things, and something happened, and then something else happened, and I think he went deep with certain things, you know what I'm saying. But again, get to my mother, and for the way that their house was structured, I go, my mother in the city again. At this time, 9 years old, she in the city. And I'm getting to a point where I'm seeing 2 parents in the home. So my younger brother's dad and my mother, they're both in the home. So I'm seeing what the family structure kind of is looking like. So 2 parents in the home, cook meals, cable TV, because wasn't a such thing as Wi-Fi, so you seeing cable TV. And my stepfather was working for American Cable Company. If you don't understand these type of things, you're young. You know what I mean? Like, so American Cable Company. I believe it was American Cable Company. Great job. So you'll see him drive home, walk home. This man, and he would get up on the pole, climb down, make sure that the cable working and stuff. So he'll get up on the pole and get back down. Man, was the truth. So you start seeing that family structure, the cookouts, you know what I'm saying, the good vibes and all that, but eventually they went this way, and still young. So before I was a teen, they was doing this, you know what I'm saying, my mother and my stepfather. And obviously, if it was hard on me, I understand what my brother was seeing, my younger brother, who seen both as his biological. But nothing was explained to us in this dynamic, you know what I mean? Like, we just kind of seen it, and we like, okay, it's not no more, but nobody's per se talking with love to the kids about anything. Not right, not wrong, but it leads to confusion, so to speak. So with that being said, sorry, I kind of got off topic. It wasn't the best, but it was what I understood life was. I kind of knew what a confusion of life settled. So it wasn't as hard for me to get adjusted to confusion. But that's me being young. So I start transitioning into confusion of, I had a brief love of a family household from my mother with a strong father giving guidance. And my mother trying to give guidance. So the nurturing plus the guidance from the father with love and guidance from the father in the correct way. The guidance and the love from the mother in the correct way. So I had a short time of both, you know what I'm saying? And no disregards to my father again, but I want everything to be said understanding. So hopefully nobody takes nothing blunt in a disrespectful way. This is what it looks like for a child. And why you gotta talk. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord. I really did kind of go. But I said all this. That's crazy. I told you. It'd be like that sometimes. That's just the spirit talking. Okay, so by the time I started becoming a teen, my father, I found where I'm at, so please bear with me. By the time I became a teen, my father's gone in glimpses, you know what I'm saying? And now my stepfather is the same thing, glimpses. I got 2 male roles and glimpses. My mother is, you know what I'm saying? I come from a urban hood dynamic, you know what I mean? So, like, you know how the politics go. I ain't got to say it. You know how hood politics go. And I mean hood politics, you know what I'm saying, with certain things. With me becoming a teen, I was raised with 2 other siblings, but I was the middle child. So I had an older sibling in my mother's household, and I have a younger sibling. I'm stuck in the middle. My mom has more kids, but again, we're the last set of my mom's kids. I ain't gonna get in that, but just so you can understand what I'm about to kind of get at, I'm trying to hold this up. My older brothers seen life from a different lens. So with my brother seeing life from a different lens, I had to sometimes play the role of let me step forward from him as far as if somebody want to step to him in a physical way. Like, nah, you can't do that. Not with this one. Because also my mother and my sister, who's born of my mother, and like surrounding parties of my mother, like if something happened to this, you in trouble. And my brothers, I'll say it like this. When I got to high school, my brother was a senior. I was a freshman. So if something happened to the senior, the freshman would get fucked up. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, if you already know, from my upbringing of that, that means also if something happened to the younger sibling, this one get messed up. So hopefully that makes sense. So with that, I was conflicted and confused. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how do I get this to compute when I quite can't get myself to compute? So parties will happen sometimes, and I think my mother understood that there had to be a tough love because I'm trying to figure things out. I'm getting a little more rowdy, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting a little more buck, you know what I'm saying, here and there. I'm fighting some people. I'm backing away from some people. I'm acting out in school in this way, acting out in school that way. People trying to tell me this and that. I'm like, go on, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't really trying to hear all that because a mother's trying to raise a boy. A woman can't raise a man, but she can try. But here's where the messed up part comes in. Tough love isn't yelling. And I think my mother didn't quite understand that. So with that being the case, again, if you keep up with me, you understand. I'm named after my mother's father and her grandfather, which is my grandfather and my great-grandfather. So I'm the 3rd generation of this name. So they would get lifted in the way, when I mean lifted, like people really hurting. So people partying sometimes, and you see the house party, you hear the music, you're like, I'm ready to go to bed, blah, 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 blah. And nothing's wrong, you know what I mean? You're hearing the parties and stuff, but you're not realizing people hurting when they doing this sometimes. But out of nowhere, you'll hear blank, blank, the motherfucking third. Get down here. Then I go down. And I hear this long speech about my name and the weight that it carries. And again, I'm like 13, you know what I'm saying, 12, 13. And everybody like, yeah, you know the responsibility that you got to carry? It's tough. You can't let nothing happen to your siblings. If something happened to them siblings, that's you. You know what I'm saying? You can't get off a track. Because if you get off a track, we get off a track. You have a responsibility to be a man now. I'm like, I'm lost. I'm like, I don't know what a man looks like. How can I have the responsibility of a man at this age and I don't know what the responsibility of a man looks like? I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? So then you're conflicted. You're angry, you're sad, you're confused. So you buck out even more. You know what I'm saying? But they think the tough love is helping you at the time. You know what I mean? So you become more conflicted into this little raise and bend. So you buck up, or like you doing more wrong typically than anything. And so I hated that speech. I hated that speech. But as I came into my adulthood, I found an understanding in that. You know what I'm saying? I found a peace in understanding that life can be rough, so it's not easy. So the way that I flipped it was, life is hard, and you have to be strong. The way that it was delivered was a little rough. And the reason why I think it's understood, I will say, I had an incident. If you watch one of my videos, you understand what I'm talking about. My early videos. I had a situation with my mother. And I will say, after the situation with my mother, and this was a teen. I'm like 16, 17. I'm 36 now. Since I've been 16, 17 years old, I haven't heard that speech. Boom, boom, the motherfucking third. Since about been 16, like 17. I mean, and it was a rough patch at that time. I haven't heard it. I don't know if that was to protect me, protect her, or whether she just seen in a way that it was delivered in a way that was hurtful more than what was intended. Now, before this seems like it's a bad video, it's not. Without my mother, I wouldn't know how to cook. I wouldn't know how to do my laundry. I wouldn't know how to conduct business. In a lot of ways, I wouldn't know how to do the day-to-day basis of what it takes to be a person and conduct life. So, I give my mother and my father the praise of the utmost high. That's why you honor thy father and thy mother. Because you wouldn't be you if it wasn't for them. You have to find that womb. And that's why if a man don't love his mother, watch how he moves. Because if he don't love his mother through her flaws, if he don't love his father through his flaws, then usually that boy is flawed and he's broken. He's going to be broken in some sort of way that's going to be diabolical, either to himself, the family, or the offspring of the family. I promise you. So you have to find balance in everything. And we as men must heal through everything and find an understanding in everything. Because if we do not, you will always, and I will promise you, in some sort of way, you will always hit a wall and typically start to fail. Finding understanding is everything. And we have to do that. Because when we do that, we can move forward. When we do that, we can create a new foundation. When we do that, we can break generational curses. and provide a better structure for the next generation. And that's what it's about. And I'm going to tell you why I didn't make a part 4. Here's the thing. And I'm going to leave it alone with this, respectfully. I did the fathers, the sons, because I'm a father. And I'm a son. I also did the fathers, the daughters, because I'm a father to daughters. I did a boys to mothers because I'm a boy with a mother. I will not do a dollars to fathers only because I can't give true transparency. I can give an idea, but I can't give a true transparency and experience because I am not that. So, understand this is important. It is not my place with the utmost humility to speak on that. And if I speak on that, I'm speaking on that with a prejudice in me. It won't be sacred. So you have to give your truth. I love y'all. I love my mother. I love my father. I love my father. I love my mother. And I honor both. I bless up. Heal. Healing. Love. Lead with love. Always. I appreciate y'all. Ghetto Rasta family. Bless up. Ghetto Rasta Locks. Out for now. One love.